Is this Cybex kneeling plate-loaded leg curl machine overrated? Or is it worth the $10,000 to $20,000 you'd need to pay to buy one? Let's find out. Now, most kneeling leg curl machines are kind of average, and it's understandable that people write them off as just being a mediocre machine in general. I was a bit like that myself because I'd only ever used kneeling leg curls that had really poor resistance profiles on them. When I did my first rep on this Cybex one, I actually stopped halfway because I was just expecting that resistance to get too high, and I'd probably been conditioned from all the other machines that I'd used where the resistance gets so challenging as you get to halfway, you can't really finish the rep off unless you want to just swing the weight up there. And in the second rep, I actually looked down at the image on the machine and I could see the guy going through the whole range. And I thought, well, why not? Let's just take it there, see what happens. And lo and behold, I was actually able to finish that rep off without having to swing the weight up to get there. With leg curl machines like this, we do want that resistance dropping off as we get towards that short end of the range. That's where our hamstrings are able to produce less output at that point. So we do want that resistance dropping off there. And this Cybex one achieves this. And I believe it does it through two main mechanisms, which I'm going to show you here. Firstly, take a look at that weight plate. You can see here, as we go through that range, that weight plate gets a little bit closer to the axis that it's moving around. Then we have the moment arm from this cam is actually reducing at the same time. You can see here on the screen, we've got that moment arm at the start of the range, which is greater. And then as I go through the range, you can see that moment arm reduces there. Now, I believe these two things combined is what creates that really nice drop off in resistance that you feel when you use this machine. One thing that you can notice about these standing and kneeling leg curl varieties is they tend to not have a weight that offsets the weight of the input arm and the pad that you're pushing into. So that can, on many of these machines, that's going to be a real issue. And that's why the resistance generally goes up so much as you get to the short end of the range. This Cybex one does offset that quite a bit because obviously that cam is reducing the resistance as you get to the short end, and that weight plate is getting close to the axis as well. So those two things help to offset the fact that you don't have a weight offsetting the weight of the arm, the input arm that you're using there. The third thing with this machine here is the inertial effects. Now, what I want you to have a look at is the distance that that plate moves as I go through the rep relative to the distance that my leg is actually moving in that arc. Now, from what I see, that plate doesn't move as far as what my leg moves. The level of excursion it's going through is actually less. And my personal view is, from the analysis I've done, is that actually reduces the inertial effects that you feel in the exercise. And so what that does is the starts and stops, they actually feel a lot smoother on this one, because of that relative distance moved. The plate is just not moving as far, it's moving at a slower speed than what my leg is actually moving in the exercise. In terms of the adjustability, there's not a whole lot going on here. It's probably going to fit most people, but there will be some people that don't fit this machine as well as others. In terms of support, you'll notice that the pelvis and spine are not really supported that well in this exercise. So you do have to put some focus into managing those positions as you do the reps. Just want to finish with a couple of final thoughts on the leg curl exercise in general. Now, if you've got a lying leg curl and you've got a seated leg curl, you've pretty much covered off all your bases there. With the lying leg curl, and where it kind of is more advantageous than this kneeling one, is that the pelvis and spine are kind of supported on those pads there. And that's really helpful when it comes to producing output. You don't need to manage those spinal and pelvis positions so much when you've got the lying leg curl machine. My overall view on this kneeling leg curl is it would be fun to have in a gym, it would be a cool piece. But for me personally, I wouldn't be spending a whole lot of money on it. If I've got the seated leg curl and I've got the lying leg curl, I'd be pretty happy with those two machines. If you came across one of these and it was at a nice price, sure, you'd pick it up if you had the money sitting there. But otherwise, it's not a necessity when it comes to leg curl training. That's it for the video, everyone. If you've got any thoughts or comments, put them below. and I'll get back to you really soon on those.